What happens when you combine a fantastic idea for learning with a set of passionate educators? You get some engaging and meaningful learning experiences, like the personalized inquiry projects we did last year. In this video, I'd like to share how students in the G5 learning community got to experience personalized inquiry projects, transdisciplinary learning experiences that are designed based on learning goals and performance standards. These long-term, open-ended projects are chosen and co-designed based on students' interests, passions, and preferences. Students gain knowledge and competencies to drive their own learning within their journey of personalized inquiry. During the personalized inquiry projects, students had more of an active role in the learning instead of a passive one, involving learning within a more open-ended, complex, and authentic context. Learning that is long-term and continuous, not short-term and intermittent. Learning that is integrated and deep, not siloed and shallow. And most importantly, it is personalized and not homogenized. Here are some project examples students chose to work on. 2 students used a tool called Blender to create NFTs and then place them onto an NFT marketplace, ending up actually selling one. 1 student used a photo and design software to test out different colorways for a custom sneaker and then created it. Here's a project that teaches others about basic sign language, a website that provides strategies for students who have autism, a Minecraft world of the solar system, digital comic books, and one of my favorites, a collaborative effort where 1 student wrote lyrics to a song and another person created the music video. A project that combined 2 passions, music and videography. This whole experience started the year before when Gabe Haydu, one of the fantastic teachers in the G5 learning community, came to me with this idea about personalized inquiry projects. This learning community accommodates 4 classes that work collaboratively with a focus on learning through relationships. Within this learning community, we had Brandy Long, Jess Jordan, Jess Harrison, and Gabe Haydu. We met once a week throughout the second half of the year to plan out what this experience would look like and how we would implement this experience, and create resources needed to effectively facilitate this type of learning. We first started by identifying which content areas we thought could be involved in the project like this. We found that core subjects like writing and reading were an easy fit, and the disciplinary practices of social studies and science were applicable to inquiry-based and project-based learning. In the first week, students went through the ideation process to identify the project they wanted to work on. Gabe and his team used the following bold statements and guiding questions and inspiring questions to help students think about their own passions, interests, curiosities, and challenges they might want to work on. They even incorporated the wonder wall where students were able to jot down some of the things they wonder about or questions they might have on sticky notes and place them on the wall. Once students brainstormed a list of passions, they identified 1 or 2 of them that they were most interested in and asked themselves the following questions. Could you use a passion to help a person or a group of people? Could your passion solve a problem or improve something? Do you want to share your passion with others? We also shared with the students this graphic to help students transition their passion or interest into a project. What are they curious about with their passion? What could they improve or solve a problem with their passion? What do professionals who have the same passion do? It was now time for students to identify their project. I modeled this process by identifying my own project, creating videos for teachers around the world about innovative teaching and learning practices and approaches. We had students write down what their personal project is, what is the goal of the project, and why does this project matter. One technique students used to evaluate their project choice was to use the 5 whys. They asked themselves, why does your personal inquiry project matter? After answering this question, they would ask themselves the same question 4 more times. For example, for my project example, my answer to this question would be, it will help teachers be aware of innovative teaching and learning practices and approaches in an engaging way. Why does this matter? Well, helping teachers be aware of these practices and approaches could lead them to trying them out for themselves. Why does this matter? Well, these practices and approaches could lead to more student engagement, higher performances and achievement, and meaningful, authentic learning. Why does this matter? These results could lead to students gaining the knowledge, skills, and dispositions needed for success as global citizens. And finally, why does this matter? This can create opportunities and build their confidence in bringing positive change to their lives. Once students identified their personal inquiry project, they created a driving question, a challenging, open-ended question that embodies the project. can be answered or be done in multiple ways, and leads to sustained inquiry of asking questions and investigating. We wanted students to practice developing driving questions, so we showed them multiple videos of young people identifying a project based on their passions, and had them develop driving questions for each one. Gabe Haydu found one video from National Geographic called Sprouts of Hope, which was about two Harvard students who spent a summer in Uganda teaching at a school, who learned about the problem of people not having access to clean water, and then decided to design a solution. Through these videos, students got to think about what sparks these personalized inquiry projects. What is the person in the video passionate about? What could the driving question have been for the project in this video? In addition, we took a couple of the project ideas from students and transformed their idea to a driving question, stretching their thinking behind their projects. Here are a few examples. This student project example started with her passion for animals. Her project idea was to make a slideshow to teach people about 13 animals. To transform this idea to a driving question, we first started with the how might we question. We then had to make this idea more open-ended by taking out the solution about creating a slide deck, because we don't want students to already start with a solution to the problem. They will have the opportunity later on to be creative, think outside the box, and go past the obvious. Instead of the solution, we included the function of the solution, or the purpose of the solution, which is to inform people about endangered animals and get them interested in helping. Here's another one. The student's passion is reading. Her idea was to do read-alouds for younger students. So we started with the how might we question, then took out the solution, which was the read-alouds, and then replaced it with the function, wanting to help younger students love reading. A read-aloud is one way to do it, but there are many other ways as well. The next step was for students to develop an action plan using this graphic organizer. The goal for this tool was to help students plan out what steps they would need to take to complete their personalized inquiry project, specifically long-term goals and short-term action steps. What I realized as I was facilitating this process was that using mind maps was an effective tool in helping students see the different parts of their projects visually and holistically, showing the overall structure of the project, figuring out what are the big goals, and then breaking each goal down into smaller manageable action steps. You first start with the project idea or the driving question at the center of your map. From this central idea, students would then brainstorm what are the big actions they would need to do to complete the project. These first level associations radiate out of the center and are considered the long-term goals of the project. The following associations that radiate out of the first level are the action steps, steps needed to be taken to complete the long-term goal. Let's take a look at an example. Here at the center of this map is my driving question. How might we create YouTube videos that help teachers improve their teaching approach? I brainstormed a couple of big goals: identifying the teaching approach I want to share, develop an outline for my video, capture the footage I need, edit the video using the footage I captured, then share it with teachers. I then focused on each of these first level associations and added more associations, thinking about the action steps that make up these long-term goals. So for example, with my first association, identifying the teaching approach I want to share, I broke it down into these action steps or short-term goals. Interviewing teachers to see what they would like to improve on. Based on what was learned in the interview, identify a high-impact teaching practice. Research this high-impact teaching practice. Identify key information about this practice that I want to showcase in my video. What is really cool about this mind mapping process is that even though every student was working on their own specific project, we can see that there are similarities between everyone's action plan. You can see the inquiry process is embedded throughout the plan, as well as the creative problem-solving process. After completing this mind map, students can take this information and place them into their action plan. The first level associations being placed into the long-term goals column, and then adding the other associations in the short-term action steps column. The action plan also includes a column for the MISO research method developed by Catherine Berger Kay. Students would think about what sources they could use for their research, what media they would use, who they could interview, create a survey for, or what could they observe or experiment, and also adding links to different resources. In addition, there is a column for possible due dates, giving students a timeline for when things need to be completed. We also created this research graphic organizer to help students scaffold the research process. Having students identify their research questions, the keywords to use for search engines, how to evaluate sources, take notes, and synthesize important information into key findings. One thing we did not incorporate, and I hope to incorporate next time, is to integrate more creative problem-solving practices like empathy, where students had the opportunity to perform empathy work using interviews and observations to gain a better understanding of the people they are helping, creating for, or presenting to. In addition, I hope to provide students with more time to brainstorm different solutions to their driving questions. Throughout this process, students had the opportunity to provide each other peer feedback. Students shared their passions, their driving questions, and their action plans with their classmates. An opportunity to not only learn from each other and get ideas to improve their work, but also provide practice in giving and receiving quality peer feedback, not just correcting, but developing existing ideas. Here's a photo of Jessica Jordan leading a session with her students on how to provide feedback on their action plans. This session helps students highlight what makes an action plan excellent and how students can improve their action plan based on what they learned in the session. In addition, throughout the project, students were asked to reflect on their work and think about their learning. We created a daily set of questions. What worked well? What didn't work well? What will you do next time to make sure it works? Which action step will you be working on next time? What will you specifically do in the next session? How effective were you as an independent learner? Explain your reasoning. Not only was this tool for identifying new knowledge and learnings, seeing their growth and development, and practicing self-awareness, but it was also a great way to keep themselves on track, thinking about what their next steps are moving forward towards their goal, and understanding what they need to work on right away during the next session. One thing that the G5 team learned through this process was the importance of grouping student projects based on topics or the tools that they will be using for their projects. Teachers got to work with specific groups based on their interest and expertise. For example, Peter, our resident makerspace technician, got to work with students who wanted to create 3D digital designs and print them out with the 3D printers. This made it easier for all of us to provide support for our students since the groups we were facilitating had similar elements in their projects. At the end of the personalized inquiry project, with some tips on how to present effectively, students got to showcase their work, not only what they created, but also their planning, their progress, and their learnings. The following are some project presentations from Heidu's and Jordan's class. Here's a student who focused on how to make a difference regarding gender bias in her learning community. A presentation on the different types of investments you can make, like stocks and real estate. A presentation about the different internal organs we have. One student had her participants make jewelry after her demonstration, which I thought was brilliant, adding an interactive aspect to the presentation. Another student wrote a script for a play and had participants act it out. And probably one of my favorite personalized inquiry projects were the ones where they got to design their own trading cards, with some students creating backstories for their cards. And of course, students got to document their learning and provide feedback when listening to the presentations. Thank you so much for watching. Big shout out to Gabe Heidu, Brandy Long, Jess Jordan, and Jess Harrison, and the instructional assistant team for planning, teaching, and creating resources to make this awesome learning experience possible. Until next time, stay perpetually in beta, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.